Episode 11 was my favorite episode so far. Hello, my name is Shonen Ouji, here to dig deeper into your favorite anime and manga. In this video, I'll be continuing my review series on the Dr. Stone anime. So, with that out of the way, let's start this review of episode 11. Now, I have to say, this episode was an instant favorite from the very start. We saw Suika, who, as I've been saying, kind of is almost like a pet. We like her, but there's nothing really sophisticated about her character. But this episode changed everything about that. But this was an instant classic because, drumroll, spoiler alert, we saw her face. And we figured out why she wears the mask. Even better, we saw the super cute reaction to her face and the even cuter reaction to her trying to see without her mask. So this was probably one of the best openings in an episode, at least in a while. Now, what's great about this beginning scene is that we see that Senku obviously wanted glass so that he could set up his chemistry lab, but based on how he presented the issue of Suika's mask, it seems like he knew that it had to do with her sight. And then we see that interaction with him and Suika, and he very tenderly tells her it's not a disease, it's not a defect, almost to affirm her, like an affirmation, just to make her feel whole and not like this broken outsider. And another thing that's really important to note that I'm really only just picking up, but it could have been picked up in previous episodes, is in scenes like this, we see Senku present the world of science, the world of technology, which to him is real because he was literally in it. But it's also real in the sense that when he talks about the past and the world of science and technology, he talks to people's needs and their wishes in a way that makes it more real than it could have ever been. And we see that with Suika, and she starts tearing up and she says, if you could fix my eyes, that'd be great. It'd be like a dream come true. So while Senku has been talking with Chrome and he's been doing all this stuff about, in the world of science we have ABC, and he treats it like this. The thing is that he's already been there. So when he talks about it to everyone in the village, it's like this real dream. And this dream is why Senku is becoming more and more charismatic. So this whole scene absolutely solidified this episode as one of my favorites. And it's specifically because of this interaction between Senku and Suika. One last thing about Suika, I absolutely love how she was given the glasses in front of the sunflowers. Not only was it a beautiful scene in of itself, it just really hit home the idea of how much we take sight for granted, because we really do depend on sight. We really are sight oriented creatures. So, and the other thing too is that it wasn't a big thing for Senku and Chrome to make the glasses. Yeah, they had to work to craft the glasses, but it's a small act of kindness to make this little girl feel whole and not like this broken person. And again, it really helps me to connect to these villagers, because now we're seeing them become these real people with real wants and desires And Suika is a perfect example of why I'm growing to not just like the villagers as characters, but to actually love them and to want to see them succeed. While I'm on the topic of scientific creations, I want to point out that while I've been a big proponent of the deeper meaning in the show and the philosophy between the characters, I have to say that the science in the show is really building up, and it's really becoming like the main draw of the show, even for somebody like me who isn't like a big scientific expert. And I'm more for the like literature and the dialogue and the debates and the arguments and whatnot. I really find myself like wanting to see what they do next, like what experiment they pull off and what like mineral and what resource they collect in every new episode. And I think they did a good job with the map of the kingdom, because like Senku and his experiments that are trial and error, we see that the kingdom of science is being built up slowly, steadily, but now we're seeing it actually becoming something. And it's because of all this work and all these baby steps of, well, first we had to get the magnet, and then we had to get the lightning rod, electricity, and then we have the glass. And you feel engaged because not only are the individual scientific experiments fun to watch, and again, they're main draw of the show, and I love them much more than I did before, but you feel invested because you want to see them finish this kingdom of science and save Ruri. So I really do think that they're doing an excellent job of emphasizing how important science is to the story. And a perfect example of why these scientific experiments are so attractive is the introduction of Kaseki. Now, before I say anything else, again, Boichi clearly likes his archetypes. We had the Disney archetypes in the last episode, and now we have what is clearly a dwarf craftsman archetype in Kaseki. And if you don't buy me, just listen. He's a short, muscular craftsman with a big beard. And if you don't buy any of that, he's got pointed ears, which traditionally suggests in fantasy that he's some sort of non-human creature, that he's some sort of mythical creature. So it's heavily implied that he's a dwarf. Not like literally like he's a dwarf and everyone else is a human, but like put two and two together. Like he's clearly meant to be like the dwarf, the blacksmith, the craftsman, etc. So Boichi clearly likes his archetypes. But in addition to the really funny scene that I actually thought was hilarious with Senku and Chrome, like on purpose, just mucking up the glass in front of him so that they could play the mind trick on him and get him to do the glass. I thought that was really funny. But what I absolutely loved about his introduction was towards the end of that particular scene when Chrome says something to the effect of, wow, look at how good he is, and he's never even seen glass before. And Senku immediately responds, that's his years of experience at work. And he adds that there's someone like him in every generation. Someone who just keeps their nose to the grindstone and just works at their talent. And we see In addition to when we see Senku almost tear up with the chemistry lab, we see Senku humanized a bit. Not that he was ever like a true paragon, but we see his admiration for geniuses, for people who have a talent but don't just stop there. They dedicate their whole life and lifestyle and their living to their craft, whether they're a scientist, whether they're a literal craftsman. And we see Senku genuinely respect Kaseki. And I think it's a really good demonstration of Senku's character and the kinds of principle that Senku aspires to preserve in his kingdom. That being, if you work hard, your dreams, whether it be curing your blindness or honing your craft, will come true. And that is going to do it for my review of episode 11. There was obviously a lot to talk about, but that's everything that really stuck out to me. So if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button. Please do share the video because it really does help me reach out to as many people as possible. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see my future reviews or check out my other videos. Reach out to me on Twitter so that we can talk about your favorite shows. And thank you for listening, and I hope to hear from you soon.